To all who come to this happy podcast, welcome. This is Planning the Magic, where we discuss all things Disney vacation planning. I'm Jake.
And I'm Alma. In today's episode, we're going to be talking all about planning a Disney cruise, so let's get on with it.
Disney cruise for me is something I'm extremely passionate about. It's actually why I got into planning travel. It's what really sparked our family's love of Disney vacations, and it's really opened a whole can of worms for us, really. But we absolutely love it. So I'm really excited to talk today about Disney cruise vacations. What about you, Alma? What's some of your favorite Disney cruise memories? Other than when you met me on a cruise.
We did meet on a cruise. That was great. I absolutely love Disney cruises, and I was a bit nervous to go on my very first cruise, as I believe most people that come to me and talk to me about cruises are, but it's really just a giant floating hotel, and I have the best experience on Disney cruises. Now, I know, Jake, you go on a lot of Disney cruises. So
I've been on quite a few.
I'm curious because I don't think I asked this. Tell the people, how many Disney cruises have you been on so far?
I've been on 12, going on 13 next month, 14 in the fall. Yeah, I've done a lot of different itineraries, been all over. Fortunately, finally doing Europe next month too. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, it's an obsession for our family, really.
That's exciting. Any cruise ship that you haven't been on yet?
I haven't been on the Wish. I'm really excited to get on the Wish still, the newest ship. Just haven't had the chance to get down there and do that, but soon. It is booked, so we'll get on that soon.
I really like the Disney Dream. I've been on all of the ships except the Fantasy. I just really love the Dream. I did like the Wish. It is a little bit different, and you'll find that out when you go on your trip, Jake. It's beautiful. I love it. But yeah, the Dream has my heart. Probably because it was one of the first ships that I sailed on.
I think that's pretty consistent with a lot of people. The first ship they go on is typically kind of where they fall in love with Disney cruise and just kind of holds a special place in their heart. I know for us, the Wonder is our favorite ship. We're West Coast based, and so we've done Alaska and a lot out of San Diego, where the Wonder is primarily based these days. And so we're our family. It feels like a second home to us, and we know half the crew members. They're excited to see us when we come back because we're there so much. But really, there is no bad ship. You can't go wrong on anything with Disney cruise.
So, what are one of the things you wish you knew before you've gone on your first Disney cruise? Is there something that you didn't think of?
That's a tough question. It's been so long, and I've done so many that it's almost hard to think like a beginner or first timer. But I'd just have to say one of the things that I at least like to tell people to begin with is to really just familiarize yourself with the layout of the ship ahead of time. That's, I know, one thing that can get people turned around a lot is kind of go through the deck plans and figure out where everything is, because that can feel a little intimidating right out of the gate. This huge floating hotel, this huge resort that you're supposed to know where to go and when to be at dinner and all this. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I'd say, kind of the first thing, once you have it booked and everything, that you should start to figure out. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely, pro tip, get yourself a travel agent that knows Disney cruises that can help you, navigate before you get on the ship. But I think one of the things that I wish I knew at first was those, even the character greets, some of the character greets you have to book in advance, even though you don't pay for them. You have to make sure you book those in advance, and they sell out. So if you're on the ship and you're like, oh, I want to meet the princesses, and there's a lineup for princesses, you can't get in that line because it's a pre-booked meet and greet. So that's kind of one of the major things that I think is a good thing to know before you go on your first cruise.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great tip. And along with that, even the ones you don't book, one of the other things I like to tell everybody is to, when you find an activity you want to go to, whether it's a character or some other kind of event going on the ship, you should probably get there about half hour early. because the lines get very long, and we'll get into more of this in just a few minutes. But I think that's another really big one along those lines.
Yeah, especially on the themed cruises where the characters necessarily aren't ones that always are there, or now they have the 25th anniversary cruises. So, the Fab Five are in their 25th anniversary gear. So those lineups get really
Yep.
long. Something that, I don't know about you, I watch a lot of vloggers on YouTube. So I was watching this family, and one parent would wait in the line while the other
Yes.
parent took the kids around doing other things,
Yep.
and then they'd meet up back in the line to get those character photos because,
I can't tell you how many
kids,
times
they
I
don't
stand
like
in line by
waiting.
myself. So I'm number one, and as soon as my wife and daughter come up, they jump in line where I am, and I run down and get in the next line. Yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
how I spend half my days on the ship during the when the characters are out.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to spend all your time doing that. It's not going to be
No.
often. And usually, for most cases, the app is going to tell you where to find those characters, but some of them are actually, pop up surprises like the Sanderson sisters on Halloween
Yeah.
on the high seas cruises. Those ones, they aren't in the app. You kind of have to watch out for
Or
them.
Goofy walking around at night in his cap and nightgown and just
I haven't seen
sleepwalking.
him yet.
You haven't seen him sleepwalking before?
Goofy.
Oh, that's funny. I've
No.
also had Stitch
Oh.
jump in the elevator, push all the buttons, and then jump out. So we had to stop at like every floor on the way down.
A Stitch.
Classic Stitch.
Troublemaker.
Okay, so I think one of the best places to start is a question I see all the time, which is and we kind of touch on this, but what is the best ship, or what ship should I go on? And I almost feel like that's kind of a not the right question to be asking. I think while, picking
I
a good
agree.
ship is part of the decision making factor, I really think that it's the itinerary or what works in your schedule more than anything.
I agree and disagree on that one a little bit,
Okay.
just because I feel like it depends on the person. So some people will choose their cruise based on which cruise ship they want to try. And some people will base their cruise on which itinerary they want to go on. Like they're seeing the newest cruise ship, they want to go on the Disney Wish, so they'll do whatever cruise itinerary
Sure.
the Disney Wish has.
Well, now that you say that, I mentioned that we take the Wonder a lot, and I guess half the time we do look at where's the Wonder going and when can we get on the Wonder. So I guess I'm a little bit of a hypocrite in that myself. So, but I think
But I
itinerary is
mean,
definitely a major deciding factor at the very least. It's um, if your favorite ship is in Europe right now and you want to go to Castaway Cay, the private island, or the Bahamas, then obviously that's not the right ship for you at that time.
right. And I think that's a huge one too. Mostly when people are thinking Disney cruise, they're thinking, I want to go to that private island, Disney's private island. There's a few ships that usually go there. So yeah, I think I'm going back to what I said before. It just depends on the person. And I find a lot of first timers, they kind of don't know what to expect with a Disney cruise. So they're thinking, maybe I'll just dabble, like dip my toes in the water. So then we're looking at 3-day cruises. So we're looking at length of itinerary, right? So, as we move through our cruise booking experience as first timers, usually you'll start with a 3-day and then you'll be like, that didn't feel like enough. And then we'll go on from there.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say my ship or my cruise was too long. It's always, I wish I'd booked a longer cruise. I've done 14 nights. We
Absolutely.
did a Panama Canal 14-night sailing one time. Still wasn't enough time. I was literally crying getting off the ship.
Oh, it is sad.
Let's call
It's
it
a sad
bummer day.
experience.
It's a tough day when they kick you off.
Yeah, my husband and son just got off of, or just recently in May, did a transatlantic cruise. So that was 14 days. It was 7 days at sea, and then they did a few stops in Spain and ended up, or in Portugal, and then ended up in Barcelona. So
Nice. Yeah.
they said that, they weren't bored of it.
No.
They had something to do every day. So,
well, and
I mean,
I don't know about for
you're
them
right.
when we did a 14-night, because it's so long, kind of have their traditional schedule of activities and everything, but they're not going to double up on things during a longer sailing. So they have a lot more or a lot of different characters out that you wouldn't necessarily see. We saw tons of Pixar characters and a lot of other kind of characters that just usually don't come out, which is really cool. I don't know if they had that on theirs.
Yeah, the characters were in their European wear.
Oh, nice.
Which was unique. I didn't even personally know that they came out with those outfits, so that was a fun one. But yeah, they had a bunch of different. There was something different every evening, so even the menus were different at the restaurant. So you can't really get bored of anything.
No.
They do their best to keep everybody entertained.
So let's talk about itineraries then a little bit. Some of the different itineraries that are destinations that they go to. There's obviously the Bahamas and the Caribbean, the kind of the standard when you think cruising, you think, going on a Caribbean cruise. But there's a lot of other places that Disney goes to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, most of your sailings, you say you head out of San Diego, you're heading to Mexico. Alaska is a really popular one for our Canadians over here.
Alaska's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. We've done it twice now, and it's, I think, our favorite destination to go on to.
Yeah, and there's the Hawaii sailing out of Vancouver, which is a really popular one. And Disney, in the past didn't do it very frequently, and now it's been added each year to the itinerary. So it's a really popular one, a good one to go on.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to go on it yet.
Haven't either.
Have you?
No, and we love Hawaii too. We're going to talk about Aulani on our next episode. We'd love to double up those experiences, the cruise in Aulani. But the Wonders started sailing to Australia and New Zealand, or starting this fall, heading down there for our winter, their summer. And so Hawaii is now kind of the pit stop in the middle of that transition.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of those cruises are almost meant for locals in the local area because some of them are short excursions. It's a bit of a trek for us to get from North America to Australia to do one of those cruises, but they do look amazing.
Yeah, they look like a lot of fun. And then, of course, they go to Europe in the summertime.
I was just going to say that.
Words right out of your mouth.
Great minds think alike, right?
Of course.
Yeah, the Greek islands cruise has been on my bucket list for a long time.
Yeah, I mentioned we're doing a European cruise next month. Greek island is still on my bucket list. We're doing Northern Europe, which will still be amazing. But definitely getting through the Mediterranean is high on my bucket list of things to do soon.
My son is a huge fan of natural disasters. He's always been really interested in them since he was little. So getting on a Disney cruise that heads to Pompeii is on his bucket list.
I was wondering where you're going with this, but yes.
Yeah. You're like, what? Natural disasters? Yeah. We saw, it's between that and Adventures by Disney. I know we'll get into that in another episode, but a visit to Pompeii is on his bucket list.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
He'll be 12 this year.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be cool to get him out there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, so we've decided, we'll just use a hypothetical here. We've decided what ship and what itinerary we want to go to. What's the next step in planning a Disney cruise vacation?
I mean, when's the best time to go?
Obviously.
When do you think the best time to go is? I mean, if you're basing your trip on an itinerary, unless you're doing Caribbean, Bahamas, you might be limited to when you can choose to go. But what are the sort of things that you consider when let's say we're doing a Caribbean cruise? What's the best time, the best season to head to the Caribbean?
I mean, I would say probably the best is early summer. By late summer, you're starting to look at hurricane season, which can, it's not all the time, obviously. Most cruises go without a hitch, but it is certainly a consideration, and it's also a lot hotter, more humid. So my general recommendation for those of us at least working around school schedules is to go early summer. Even April, May is probably about perfect, kind of the sweet spot. Especially spring break time is a great time to go as well.
We've gone in that, hurricane season bubble and haven't had an issue, but that, it still doesn't mean to say that it can't happen. Your boat might get rocked a little bit. But for the most part, the ships will continue sailing. I don't remember too many times where, Disney stopped sailing. There was a couple occasions last year, I believe, and they just kind of usually they steer the ship around the storm. I think the most kind of impact you would have, and the most disappointing thing for most people, is not being able to go into Castaway Key.
Yes,
because it's too rough, too windy to get in. So sometimes they'll try again the next day if you have a 4-night sailing. But sometimes you just have to skip that port, and it's a very sad day.
it is. Waving as it goes by. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if that's what you picked your itinerary for.
Right. So things like Alaska and Europe obviously only happen in the summertime. So when talking about timing, that's, obviously the only time you're going to be able to go. Typically they run from about May through September, late May through mid-September. So is when both of those sailing seasons occur. And then they do have the Caribbean year round. And then some of those other specialty cruises like the transatlantic, when they're done with, going to Europe or coming back, is just the one time that they do that.
Okay, so we've talked about itineraries, the different ships, and deciding when to go. Now, how do you pick a stateroom? What kind of staterooms are on board? I mean, thinking of staterooms, there's so many different options and different variables and where you want to be on the ship. So let's talk about the differences in staterooms first, and then we'll go into like what sort of deck or place on the ship you feel is best.
We're going to confuse everybody with these nautical terms here on this episode. The deck and the ship.
Ship. I called it a boat earlier. Don't come at me.
The Mickey boat. So there's 4 different categories of staterooms on Disney Cruise. There's the inside rooms, which is the interior of the ship. You're not going to have a window at all. There's the ocean view, which will have a window, a porthole, getting back to our nautical terminology here. There are verandas, which have a balcony. And then there's concierge, which is the suite level or the club level, which is pretty much the same as the verandas, but a little bit extra touch, a little nicer. And then you have the concierge lounge and services that you are entitled to.
Yes. And concierge will fill your fridge with whatever you want before you get there, so you can put in all your requests to them.
They actually even
just a little fun fact.
We've done concierge twice. YOLO'd once at the port and just went all out. And one of my favorite things actually is that I believe it's at 6. They come around and knock on every door, and they have a bar cart that comes around and they'll make you a drink right at your stateroom. That's pretty nice. Complimentary.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Something that sorry to veer off topic here, but something that they don't have on Disney cruises. I'm a Red Bull fan. I enjoy Red Bulls. So they don't have that at the bar or anything. And if you're concierge, they will fill your fridge with Red Bull if you request it. So another fun fact.
Yeah, they'll do just about anything for you. Although they did tell me once they had somebody ask them to turn the ship around because it was too sunny on their side of the ship. And so passenger made the request to have the captain turn the ship around, and they unfortunately had to deny that request. But
that cannot be real. Is that real?
I was told by the concierge host. Yeah.
That's crazy. They must have crazy requests. I would love to be
sure,
the fly on the wall. Anyways, a fun fact about is that my third fun fact in the last 5 minutes?
Everything's a fun fact.
Everything is a fun fact. Fun fact.
It's like my number one tip about everything too.
The deluxe staterooms, they have split bathrooms, so that's That's really awesome for bigger families. I wish both of those split bathrooms had a shower. Only one has the shower, um, and then the other one has the toilet. So there's not like there's still a competition for both of those, but one can still get ready while the other's in the bathroom. So that is,
and there's at least a sink in both.
handy.
So you can have
That's right.
2 people brushing their teeth or, whatever. So
Maybe one day they'll upgrade to the 2 full split bathrooms.
there's not room.
I guess if you want that, you could go into concierge, a 1-bedroom suite. You could
There you
have
go.
2 bathrooms.
In fact, the cruise we met on, I asked about upgrading to concierge at the port. It was just me, traveling by myself. And they said the only thing available was the 1-bedroom suite. And I was tempted, but I knew I'd never live it down if I got home and said I had a 1-bedroom suite to myself.
Yeah, and then those inside staterooms, well, there's the ocean view. The deluxe ocean view comes with split bathrooms, but then those inside staterooms, you'll just have the standard bath.
Now, some of the inside staterooms on the bigger ships, on the Dream and the Fantasy, and they do have it on the Wish too, right? Have the magic porthole.
Right. So it doesn't feel like you're boxed into your, interior stateroom walls. There's a little faux window there that has a camera view to what's happening outside of the ship. And then also has like fun characters that come throughout once in a while to, sprinkle a little pixie dust on your day.
See Dash Dash running on the water outside. Yeah. Or Jack Jack, I'm sorry.
Dash Dash.
I was thinking of the Diaper Dash. Which is an amazing event on board.
Which we're probably going to go over later in this episode.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
If you have a chance to catch that, it's hilarious.
So part of the ship, where you want to stay on the ship, which deck, forward, aft, front, back. Use layman terms here. Where do you think is the best place, especially if somebody's worried about the motion of the ship?
Yeah, I think that's like the number one thing that first timers come to me with is worried about the motion. So I'm always putting the midship a little bit lower down to feel a little bit less motion. But honestly, wherever I've been on the ship, I haven't felt too much motion. When I've been at the aft, so the back of the ship, I was pretty close to I could feel the rumble of the engine. And I think, were you there for lunch with us at Tiana's place? They sat us at this table. It was right over the engines, and the whole table was just shaking. And we're like, okay, I think we need to move. This is a terrible table.
That's the exception, not the rule, though. We don't want to scare people off. Yeah. Occasionally you'll feel it, especially when you're on those at sea days or overnight. I think they crank up the speed a little bit to try to get to where they're going. So you'll feel it a little bit. Most of the time, though, I think, and just in normal weather, it almost feels like sitting on a hammock when you're laying in bed or sitting on the couch. It's just kind of just a nice, gentle rocking that I never sleep as well as I do on the ship. It's rocked like a baby to sleep every night.
Oh, I agree. It definitely rocks you to sleep. And that's the best bed that you'll ever sleep on in your life.
We actually bought the bed.
Did you?
We did.
So it's not the best bed you'll sleep on in your life.
Somehow it's still better on the ship, but
well, nobody's rocking you to sleep at home.
Maybe that's the problem. Yep.
Yes. So I usually recommend midship, a little bit lower down, not right under the pool deck because you could get some chair moving noises, and not right above the kitchen galley where you can get the cart noises. So you kind of learn that over time, but that's why it's always good to talk to somebody who knows their stuff about Disney cruises before you make your final decision.
Well, and I like to, for people worried about the rocking, I like to try to explain it almost like a teeter-totter, where it's, if you're more on the outsides of the, or the front or the back of the ship, or further up or down, it's the lower and more central you are, and the less motion you're going to feel, whereas you're on the outside of a teeter-totter, right? You're going way up and down, and not that you're going way up and down the ship, but just that, analogy for understanding kind of the rocking of the ship. Lower and more central will keep you feeling a lot less of it.
That analogy makes me want to avoid the front and the back.
We're going to cut that out.
But it makes sense. It makes sense. I was staying in a room on the Disney Wish, and it was forward. And I'm gonna have to remember where exactly that room was, but it was a lot of galley noise. So I was like, I think we were right under where they prepare everything for all the kitchens. So all I heard was the moving of carts and the crashing of dishes, and it just was unpleasant.
Well, one thing you can do is you can get onto the website and check the deck plans where it shows a map of each deck. And you can kind of see like, oh, this is the stateroom I'm looking at on, we'll just say deck 7 or deck 8. You can look at deck 9 and deck 7 below it and see exactly where you are on the ship and what's above and beneath you. So
Yes, deck plans, looking at them. There's full access to them on the Disney Cruise website. So you can take a little tour around and find out where you want to stay. And then the staterooms on Disney Cruise Line are really unique because, well, for my family, we're a family of 5, and on a standard cruise line, we wouldn't fit into one stateroom. So Disney Cruise Line has the ability to fit your family of 5 into a stateroom, which is really awesome. So, I mean, that's like another sort of benefit of the stateroom selections that you have with Disney Cruise Line.
and what's the sleeping arrangements for a family of 5?
Yeah, well, they have, that really comfortable bed. And then there's that divider. There's a divider in the room. So then they'll have a couch, a pull-out sort of couch that turns into a bed. And then it'll be a bunk bed that gets pulled down from the ceiling. So your stateroom host will pull that down. So there's the 2 beds there. And then close to the other side, you'll have a single Murphy bed. So that's how you fit 5 people in there. I mean, we might be starting to outgrow it. My oldest is turning 12, so he's getting a little big for that Murphy bed. So we might have to look into getting 2 rooms at one point in time, but for now we do fit in 5 people in that room, so it's a good option for bigger families.
And one of the other really nice things about the staterooms on Disney Cruise is the twice a day turn down service. So it's not like you have these beds in the way all the time because the staterooms aren't huge, right? They're pretty small. They're built to be, get a lot of staterooms on the ship. But the room service will come in, the stateroom host will come in the morning and tidy up everything and put those Murphy beds away and put the ceiling bed and turn the couch back into a couch. And so throughout the day, you're not feeling like it's this, jumbled mess of beds everywhere. It's a really comfortable room. And then at night when you're at dinner, they'll do the reverse and get it all ready for you, which is amazing.
Yes, I love that. It's my favorite part. Not having to think about the beds at all.
Yep.
I know some people go in a little bit concerned saying there's not enough place for my family to sleep, and you just, gotta wait a little bit. Your stateroom host will set everything up for you, and
more of that Disney magic. It just
away.
happens.
Yeah. They also make those awesome towel animals.
Yes.
So every night when you go back to your stateroom, my kids are always excited to find out what towel animal they got, and they use your stuff as props sometimes, your sunglasses. You'll have a monkey hanging from the ceiling.
It's amazing. And they even,
That's
speaking
fun.
of, getting to the classes and activities, they actually have a towel folding class you can go to if you want to learn how to do it at home, which is pretty fun.
Yes.
Did you
fold
do
a
that
towel every night?
Yeah, for your kids? Make their bed up with a monkey hanging from the ceiling?
No, then that takes away the Disney magic.
That's true. Well, speaking of kids, obviously we take kids on a Disney cruise because we're not going by ourselves. This isn't Virgin Voyages. And what's fun for kids to do on board?
Well, of course they have the kids clubs, which are included with your cruise fare. So there's a variety of kids clubs for all ages, from ages 3 to 17 are the main kids clubs. And then they do have a nursery for those under 3s.
And I don't know about your kids. My daughter stays in the Oceaneers Club all day. Like we cannot get her out, even at dinner time. She wants to just stay and play like all day long. So we pretty much do get a vacation by ourselves half the time. It's
Absolutely. My kids are the same. They are always wanting to go into the kids club, and it's not just the activities that are within the kids club. They have the cast members put together activities throughout the day, so they have a whole schedule for them. And sometimes you go and pick them up, and they're like, "Oh, I was just going to start Marvel training or something like that." And
even the characters come in
they,
sometimes. They have princess gatherings just in the kids club. Yeah.
yeah, and Belle came out and read stories to the kids. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. And, it fits ages 3 to 12. So there is a variety of activities for all those age groups. So it's not like you're sitting around with a piece of coloring paper passing time with the other
Just
3-year-olds.
bored
There's
waiting for
something
mom and dad
for,
to come back.
yeah,
Yeah.
something, there's something for all of them to do. So yeah, my kids never want to leave there. And then
And the counselors
the
are
sort of
amazing.
next,
The counselors go
yes.
above and beyond for the kids. Half the time, like my daughter has secret handshakes with the counselors half the time. Like we pick her up after the first day and she's already like doing their, secret handshakes. And yeah, they really are what make the difference in those kids clubs.
I agree. And like when the kids are a little bit older, you can give them check in and out privileges. So I mean, the first time we gave that privilege to my son, we like found him at the pool deck eating an ice cream and pizza, watching a movie. It's just there's a little, you could give them a little bit of freedom, but still within like the safety bubble of Disney. So they're always, there's always somebody keeping an eye on them, telling you where they're headed.
And on that note, the ships do feel really, really safe. I believe the check in and out privileges begin at 8 years old for kids. And by that point, I feel totally comfortable letting our daughter roam the ship as she does. And, she eats way too much cookies and ice cream and pizza, but that's why you go on a Disney cruise, right?
Yeah, and my son recently kind of graduated to Edge Club, which is ages 11 to 14. So a little more uh, older kid focused activities. There's, video games and games. I think they did a lot of karaoke too. So he made some really good friends in the Edge Club, and him and his friends would check themselves in and out of the Edge Club and go hang out together and go on the water slide and then go back. So I mean, they've make some really good relationships on their
Oh,
own,
yeah.
just in the kids clubs, and they're really sad to leave.
And then there's Vibe, which is the 14 to 17, right? Which is, the
Right.
high school age. And that's really just kind of a cool hangout lounge. They do have some arcade games and giant screens with like Xbox and Nintendo Switch and everything. But they also have like, like their own smoothie bar. They can go make their own, smoothies and stuff and just kind of hang out and do what 14 to 17-year-olds want to do.
Yeah, my son said that his Edge Club got to take over Vibe one day, so they did a little bit of a swap, and he was ecstatic that they had, their own pool, the smoothie bar, and like all this cool older kids stuff. But I mean, he'll get there one day. But yeah, there's lots of things to do for all ages. Have you had a chance to try the nursery?
So our very first cruise, our daughter just turned 3, so she was old enough for the Oceaneers Club. The requirement is that they are potty trained, and she wasn't quite there yet. And so up to 3 can go into the nursery. And so we did put her in there for a little bit. You do have to pay for the nursery. It's like $4 per half hour, something like that. Um, so it's not outrageous, but um, it is just something to think about and to consider. But again, they are fantastic in there. They loved having an older kid, I think, because they're used to just changing diapers for little babies.
Mhm.
Having, a girl with her princess dress kind of made their day.
And on that potty train note, a thing that people, a lot of people don't know is that your child has to be potty trained in order to go into the pools on the pool deck. So they don't allow any swim diapers or anything. Your child has to be potty trained for those
I think
pools.
the one
So
exception to that is the splash pad. They do allow babies into the splash pad area, but to actually go
that's right.
submerge yourself in water needs to be fully potty trained.
In the kids club, my little one had just turned 3, one of our first few cruises, and she went in the kids club, and she was potty trained but had an accident, and they dealt with it there, and she came back with like this cute little 2-piece set standardized gear from there, and they handled it really well. And I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
is all I'm trying to get
No,
across.
they know it's going to happen, and they're very well trained and know how to handle it and make sure the kids don't feel embarrassed or anything like that. So
beyond the kids clubs, what else is there to do for kids on
nothing.
the Disney cruise?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
They're bored. Yeah. No, I don't think we've ever been bored on a Disney cruise. So my number one, here we go again. My number one activity that I like to do is bingo. Or our family loves doing bingo on the ship. Have you guys ever done bingo?
That's a fun one. Yeah, we have.
It is an added cost.
It's lots of fun.
But it's not just, your grandma's bingo hall. It's a whole show. It's a whole party. What's some of your favorite activities?
I mean, there's so many. Some of the highlights would be the animation studio. So where you can learn how to draw some Disney characters. That's always fun to do with the family. The family game shows are always so much fun. Karaoke. We don't necessarily participate in karaoke, but we enjoy watching it.
It's always a good show.
Yeah. Some of my favorite things to do.
The other one we love to do is the trivias. They have a lot of really fun trivias that some of them are adults only, some of them are for the whole family. But Disney trivia, and sometimes it's just 80s music trivia or 90s music trivia, whatever it is. So Marvel trivia. They have a lot of those throughout the ship or throughout the cruise that are a lot of fun to go to.
Yeah. And sometimes you feel like some people are cheating the system there. Like, have you heard that trivia before?
For those of us that have been on, 12 cruises and know the answers.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like you must have been on more than one cruise.
Because some of the questions are hard. It's not just a gimme. Yeah.
There's my competitive nature coming out. Like, that's not fair. They know the answers.
To be fair, I think we did trivia together, and I think you guys were turning to me a lot, asking for the answers because you knew I'd been on the ship before.
That was the one with the person behind us. That was like, he had all the answers.
Yeah, I think he was telling his wife or girlfriend, but he was telling them kind of loud, and so we could hear all the answers.
Oh, trivia. Yeah, it's always a good one. And then, of course, there's like, sometimes they have little kids only sort of pool party things at the pool during the day. Some fun activities to do there. I mean, there's never nothing to do. And then, of course, the character meet and greets are always going on as well.
And I really think the cruise is the best place to see characters, way better than the parks. I think you're going to get so much better character interaction on a cruise. Get a little bit more time with them. They cut off the lines a little bit shorter sometimes so that you can really maximize your time and get those great pictures with them.
Yeah, I agree. That if we're doing a good place to see characters, I would say that, a cruise ship, and character dining.
Well, yeah.
But, that's a whole different topic. So we'll stay on cruising. Well, we've already talked about some of the onboard activities. So why don't we go ahead and talk about planning the different types of onboard activities, how you plan them, and then shore excursions. So these are all of the add-ons that you would do after you book your cruise.
Yeah. So after you book your cruise, you're going to be looking at, like she said, shore excursions. You can do the specialty dining for adults in Palo or Remy or Enchanté now on the Wish. Hopefully I said that okay. You're smirking at me. So
You did great. You did
that high
great.
school
I
French
just
coming
love
out.
hearing
Yeah.
your French accent. Hey, side note, do you learn Canadian French in school or France French?
If I passed, I might be able to tell you. I think it's France. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
digress. Anyways, planning onboard activities. So there's the adult dining. There's also Bippity Boppity Boutique on board. And for, Pirate Night, they have Pirate's Lair. Lair? Is that what it is?
I'm spacing on the exact name, but they do pirate makeovers for
Yeah. They
both
do a
boys
pirate
and girls, which is
makeover.
great.
So,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, so what would need to be booked in advance for onboard activities?
For the onboard activities, so you mentioned the Princess Gathering. That's a big one.
Yeah, the Princess Gathering, any sort of specialty dining, so that's the adult dining, um, and Bippity Boppity, and of course the Pirates makeover. And you have to consider your booking window for those things. And with Disney Cruise Line, it's a bit different for each person. So if you're a first time cruiser, your booking window will be different than it is if you're, a 12th time cruiser like Jake is. So you're going to have to take that into consideration when you're booking your things, when those are available to book for you. The Princess Meet and Greet, it's called the Royal Gathering. So that one actually changed its booking window. So now I think it's like 30 days in
It's
advance.
30
I
days
think
for
everybody
everybody.
gets to
Yeah.
book that one at the same time now. So, I mean, everybody has the same chance to get that activity,
And there
and
are
that
several of
activity
those
is
gatherings
free.
throughout each sailing too. So it's not like just one 30-minute window that everybody's trying to fight for. So
Yeah, the most popular ones would be on your day at sea. So I think those are the ones that go the quickest. And another, like I said, that one is free, but another paid reservation that goes quickly would be Palo Brunch.
we love doing Polo Brunch. I think that's such a fun experience. Love that. We haven't even talked about food yet. I've
I
been
know.
been
We'll
itching to
get
talk
there.
about food.
We'll get there. Two foodies just waiting to get to the food section.
It's the most patient we think we've been yet before we mentioned food.
Anyways, Palo will book up really quickly, especially brunch. If you don't get a Palo reservation, you can. There is a strategy to try to get a reservation when you get on board. Definitely not guaranteed, and also not what you want to be spending your time doing when you first get on board your Disney cruise. That's sort of a last ditch effort to get that Palo reservation, but they do go really quickly. So, I mean, concierge guests will be priority for those sorts of things. So if that is a priority to you, booking in advance and concierge would probably give you your best benefit if you're a first timer, because your booking window is a little bit longer than the rest of us, I guess.
Yeah,
I
obviously
don't mean to make us sound like elite.
hoity-toity concierge
Yeah.
patrons here, but yeah.
You're part of the Castaway Club as soon as you book one cruise. So you get your silver Castaway Club membership as soon as you sail one time. So your booking window goes up after that. So it's not like it doesn't take too much to get into the club.
No. But it is
Is what I'm
something to at
trying to
least kind of
say.
be aware of, that, some of those really popular shore excursions or the cabanas on Castaway Key, they probably will sell out before the first timers have a chance to get it. So it's just something at least to be aware of.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those shore excursions, maybe for the Bohemian cruises, because those are probably the most popular and the most frequent. Probably the most attended by first timers as well, because those are those 3 and 4 day cruises. Have you done a Bohemian cruise, and do you have a shore excursion that you
So
enjoyed?
I haven't done just Bahamas, but we've been through there on the Caribbean sailings, been through Castaway Key. So I haven't been
Yeah.
to Nassau yet, but um, But Castaway Cay is the highlight of any vacation that goes there. It's one of the most fun days. Those private islands, the only people there are going to be the people that come from your ship. And it's private beach, private island, the whole thing. They have amazing barbecue because, I got to talk about my food. And yeah, it's just a really fun day.
Yeah, lots of affordable sort of, they call them shore excursion packages, but you can get a tube snorkel and bike rental all in a package, and you can enjoy your day on the beach just doing that. But they also have like the manta ray experience, and some water activities as well. But yeah, we're kind of basic when we go to Castaway Cay. We enjoy the hanging out at the beach, and we get those floaties. We rent the floaties and take a bike around and tour the island.
And they got that fun water slide that you can swim out to. It's on a floating dock that you can do a water slide into the ocean. It's a lot of fun too, especially on really hot days. It feels amazing.
Yeah. Castaway Cay. We could probably do a whole episode on Castaway
And probably
Cay.
will. And soon they're going to have Lighthouse Point coming out next year, the new second private island. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can go live from Lighthouse Point.
Let's do it. Hopefully Disney sees us and will send us on that inaugural cruise.
New goal unlocked. But briefly touching on Nassau, we've been to Nassau a few times, walked along in the port. Usually we stay on the ship because when everybody's off the ship, that's the best time to hit the water slides.
So truth be told, we actually don't do very many shore excursions because our theory is we pay for the ship. Everybody else is gone. You can sit and enjoy, almost have the whole ship to yourself. There's not a lot of those activities going on, but you get the pools and the water slides and everything. No lines. So
yeah, we wanted to try something different when we went to Nassau last time. And we did it was a pirate boat excursion. So there was like endless rum punch, and it was like a whole pirate show. They take you on this pirate ship, and like my kids really enjoyed the pirate. For me, it was kind of cheesy. I enjoyed the rum punch, but what I did like is the tour of all of the beautiful properties that were alongside the shore in Nassau. So it gave me a really good view of the island, which was really cool, and the kids really enjoyed the experience.
That does sound fun. Yeah.
It was definitely
and rum
worth
punch.
it. And it was like, rum punch. And it was the most, I think, affordable shore excursion at that time. So
I know another popular one at Nassau is the Atlantis, the day pass to go to Atlantis, the water park and resort there.
Yes.
But that's another really
and that's
popular.
A costly one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have swimming with dolphins. They have the Atlantis, like the water slide resort and everything there. And then there's some beach excursions. So there's definitely a lot to choose from when you're in Nassau. Or you can, sit back. But those shore excursions are going to be the same as planning your onboard activities. You're going to have to book those in advance, and it depends on your booking window on your Castaway Club status, which I don't think we really touch base too much on Castaway Club status other than you are in the Castaway Club once you sail one time. So there's 4 tiers now.
Yes. They added a 4th right when I hit the top. What was the top? Yeah, so there's silver once you've completed 1 sailing. You're at gold after you've completed 5. Platinum after 10, and then pearl now after 25. So
new goal unlocked.
Yeah, just do back to back to back to back and try to get that 25 mark. Spend all summer on the ship.
So the Castaway Club status is your advantage too when you're booking not only shore excursions, but when new itineraries come out. The itineraries get released in order of club status. So the pearls are going to get them first, then platinum, then gold, then silver, and then everybody else.
And pricing for Disney cruise is typically based on just typical supply and demand. So the earlier you book, the better price you're typically going to pay. I know some other cruise lines will have like last minute deals. Deals in Disney just don't usually go together.
Definitely. So as soon as those itineraries are released, as we get close to the sailing, and more of those staterooms are sold, the price is going to go up. So that's kind of, unless they're having a hard time filling the ship, which is not very likely, that's the only kind of time you'll see a discount come up. So a lot of people ask about discounts and when to expect them, which is not a common thing with Disney cruises. So yeah, your best discount you're gonna get is booking right away.
Okay, I've waited too long. We're talking about dining. So one of the really cool things that Disney does compared to other cruise lines is they have 3 main dining rooms compared to just one large one. And you'll rotate between the 3 each night. So you'll be in a different dining room each night. And they're all themed differently. But the really cool thing is that your servers, you get to know your servers every night. You're at the same table with the same people, and they follow you from dining room to dining room, which I think is a really, really fun way to do it.
Absolutely. And you really get to know them, and you start to make inside jokes with them. And when you're traveling with your kids, they really get to know your kids. So, even before they get there, they have their, preferred drink.
Yeah, after the
They
first night, they
already
know your
know.
drink orders. Yeah.
Yeah, they know. So that's probably the best experience of that rotational dining, but also you get to experience all the different restaurants, and not have to think about it. So it is a set schedule. So there's 2 dining times that you have to choose from in advance, and usually the main dining fills up first. So that one's at usually 5:45.
Yeah, so it's
Am I
usually
right?
5:45 and then
Yeah.
8:15. I know some schedules are a little adjusted from that, but that's typically the schedule you're going to see. Which dining time does your family prefer?
Um I it, I feel like the main dining is a little bit rushed for me. Especially, on a day like when you're at Castaway Key and you have to be on board at 4:30, and then you go get ready, and you just have to rush to get to dinner. I do like the second dining time because you kind of have a little more relaxed time in between when you get, back from your shore excursion if you went on one before you have to go to dinner. And there's lots of sort of food options that you have during the day that you can kind of nibble on before you get to that second dining time. What's your preference?
We are strictly late dining. Yeah. We're all night owls anyway. My daughter's actually somehow a night owl and an early bird, but on the ship she's up till
Mhm.
midnight, 1 in the morning all the time anyway. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's especially at the end of the dining window for main dining. They got to turn the dining room over. They got to get ready for that second seating, and so they're kind of politely kind of rushing you out a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, it once in a while it does feel a little bit late, like the late dining. It does feel like it drags on a little bit late. So, but the kids get re-energized if you do send them back to the kids club. My kids are always in the kids
Give them a
club till
Mickey
like
bar and
midnight
send them
as
to the
well.
kids club. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Mickey Premium Bar.
Now I feel like you have to share the story.
I mean, I had never heard it called a Mickey Premium Bar until we were dining together, and you called it right Mickey Premium Bar. And where did that name come from?
Yeah. That's just what I've always called it, a Mickey Premium Bar.
I mean,
And our server
they're
was like,
amazing.
"What?" And I was like, "I'd like a Mickey Premium Bar, please." And he had no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, "The Mickey shaped ice cream." And he was like, "Oh, a Mickey bar." Like a premium bar was something different than a Mickey bar. And that's the first time I realized that I was apparently the only one that called it a Mickey Premium Bar, but that's its actual name,
To
the
be
full
fair, it
name
is on the
on
packaging.
it's on the
I
packaging.
don't think anybody's ever called it that, but that's all right.
So
You
yeah,
weren't wrong.
what do you what do the people call it?
I think just a
That
Mickey
I think
bar.
that's a debate.
Just a Mickey bar.
That's your opinion. What if there's other people like me that also call it a Mickey Premium Bar?
Hopefully, for your sake, we get called out here. I get called out. Everyone will chime in and let us know what it's actually called.
Okay, so rotational dining on a longer cruise, will you get bored of rotational dining?
No, no, not at all. They have so many events and kind of shows in a lot of the restaurants that really keep it interesting, and they find a good way to keep it fresh and unique and a lot of fun.
And they change the menus, and if your sailing has pirate night, there's a different menu for pirate night. And a restaurant like Animator's Palette actually has like 3 different shows that they rotate through. So, depending on how many nights you are visiting that restaurant, you'll get a different experience every time. So, definitely you won't get bored, but you don't have to eat at your rotational dining location, do you?
You do not.
If you don't want to.
You do not. I always feel guilty if I don't. Feel like I'm missing my servers, and I feel like I'm letting them down almost if I go somewhere else. So, but one of the things people do like to do is go to either Paulo or Remy for dinner, the adult dining, um, and that's definitely a pretty popular option as well. So you can schedule it opposite your dining time, so you can have 2 dinners, which I'm perfectly fine with. Um, but just something to consider at least is the scheduling with that if you do want to enjoy those.
Yeah, and then those sit down dining restaurants, some of them are open for breakfast and lunch as well. So if you check in your Navigator app, it'll tell you which one's open for breakfast or lunch that day, and you can pop in and eat there and try the menu, the breakfast or the lunch menu there as well.
So you mentioned a couple minutes ago about the Navigator app and finding dining times. I think it's worth mentioning that the app is going to be your best friend on the ship. Uh, and really, you can find everything you can go through. You can plan out your day in the app. You can heart items throughout the day and check your dining times and what times the restaurants are open and everything. So that's going to be a really big time saver and planner when you're on the ship to really make the most of your day.
I agree, and unfortunately, you won't be able to learn much about it until you're on the ship because you won't be able to see anything before you're actually connected to Disney Cruise Line Wi-Fi. And that's something. It's one of the first things that you're going to do when you get onto the ship is connect to the Wi-Fi, and they're going to tell you how to do it there and show you the app and everything. But take a moment when you get there, get settled in, maybe while you're grabbing your lunch and look through the app. It'll give you your daily schedule, and you can look ahead and see what's coming and learn how to chat with your family members in there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other nice thing is, when you're out to sea, you don't have cell service, and they do have internet on board, but it's not great. It does work, but it's not great. But there is a messenger app between apps on board, so you're able to communicate with your family that also has the app.
Yeah, and even connect to other staterooms. So, I mean, not just family members. You can connect to other staterooms, and everybody can give you their ID number, and you can chat within there and find out where to meet and keep in touch. So it's a really good way to uh, keep in touch with everybody. And that's also how the kids club that your kids can send you a message from the kids club. So
It's
the
way
kids
better than
club
those old
will
wave
connect
phones you
with
had
you
to
there.
carry around
Oh
before. The
my
little,
gosh.
it wasn't even a flip phone; it was just a brick phone that they make you take
It
everywhere.
was like a brick like first version cell phone
Yeah,
from the 80s that you had to carry around with you.
yeah, it's a lot nicer having just your phone and the app now, so that makes it really convenient.
So when you first go, so on embarkation day, when you're first going on your cruise, you don't get your stateroom right away. Well, depending on when your port arrival time is, and maybe port arrival time is something we should touch on briefly for everybody.
The whole
But
boarding process,
um,
yeah, because it is a process. It's
well,
something to
it
navigate.
is a bit of a process. Yeah, that might need its own episode as
It
well.
probably does.
But yeah, we usually have 2 sort of bags when we first get on the cruise ship. We have, of course, our full bag for the trip, and that gets checked in before we get on the ship. And then we have like a carry-on bag that we take with us, and we usually have our bathing suits and a change of clothes and some sunscreen. And we have we're all the adults over 21 are allowed alcohol, and that's how you bring it in. You have to bring it in through your carry-on. So there's usually some beer or adult beverages in our backpack with us. But yeah, those are sort of the essentials that we bring in on our bodies, because we won't be seeing our room for a little while when we get on board. Do you have any sort of essentials as well?
Yeah, the swimsuits is definitely a key. Sometimes we even just wear our swimsuits on under our clothes, so it's a little easier just to strip down and jump in the pool or the water slides right away after getting the ice cream, of course. But
Step one.
yeah, ice cream then pool. Yeah, but definitely you don't want to keep any medication that you is important, because yeah, you don't have your rooms until 2, and sometimes your bags don't show up until 3, 4, 5 o'clock. They have to get everybody's bags sorted and delivered to their staterooms. And it does take a little bit of time. So definitely keep anything that you need for those first several hours while you're on board in a bag with you while you're going through the boarding process.
And speaking of the boarding process, it's pretty straightforward. We briefly touched on that port arrival time, which is called PAT, PAT. You'll get that when you do your online check-in. So you'll find out when you need to arrive at the port. Don't arrive any earlier. They don't like that.
Yeah. So you go through, it's similar to airline boarding at that point. You go through security and do your actual like gate check-in. And then you just wait for your group to be called and they whisk you off onto the ship. You get a couple pictures in front of the Disney cruise background, which is kind of fun to kind of first official start of the vacation. And often they have Mickey out there too, Captain Mickey greeting you. So definitely you really feel like your vacation's on at that point. And then when you actually get onto the ship
vacation mode
is one of my favorite moments of the whole cruise, when they announce your family name as you board the ship. I think that's such a cool little touch that they do.
It's our favorite part. And it definitely kicks off vacation mode.
Oh, yeah.
They welcome your family to the ship, and then it's time to vacation.
And you hang out. You go get some of the buffet or one of the sit-down restaurants that's open first thing. Go to the pool. You can eat some ice cream. And then usually about 4:30 or so is the sail away party, which is always a lot of fun, too, up on the pool deck.
Never miss a sail away party. And don't forget the muster drill, which it's changed multiple times during the global pandemic and coming out of it, and now we are back to a standard muster drill. And if you don't know what a muster drill is, it's basically just an emergency sort of emergencies meeting kind of overview of like what you would do in an emergency. So everybody has an assigned area that they have to go to for their stateroom, and you go there and learn what you need to do in an emergency, and it's mandatory for all cruises.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the most fun thing, but you get through it and then you rush upstairs and go partying. You only have to do it the one time and then it's done for the rest of the sailing.
Takes up a little bit of your time, but at least you know how to be safe in the event of an emergency.
And the only thing I do like to caution people on with that is my daughter has some noise sensitivity issues, and they do sound the alarm as a test, and so that you know what it is. But it is very loud. So if you are sensitive to hearing, bring some, or at least be prepared to plug your ears ahead of time. And for kids, bring their headphones, their ear protection if they have it, because that's definitely something that we've run into many times.
And some of those meeting spots aren't the best. Like, I mean, some of them are in the theater where you get a nice seat, but some are out on the deck in the heat. So standing.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Everybody's bunched in.
Kids,
it's not, we're not going to say it's fun by any stretch of the imagination.
But. Yeah.
All right. So once you get your vacation started, it's just time to sit back and have fun. Everything should be planned out, and you should know how to use the app and find the characters and find the events. We didn't even talk about the shows. There's so much we still didn't even talk about that will just have to be later episodes. We're gonna do deep dives on everything. These are just the kind of the 101 glossary, if you can call a over-hour episode a glossary. There's so much.
Like Jake said, the high level overview of Disney Cruise Line. We're definitely going to dive deep into these topics individually on further episodes. So if there's anything that you guys want to hear more about, we'll definitely take your feedback on that.
Absolutely. So, final tip.
What is the biggest thing to know about your Disney cruise? Final tip. Oh my gosh, Jake, you've stumped me.
All right. Well, I'll try to give you a minute to think here. Uh,
Okay.
one of my tips, my number one tip that I always like to say, um, I think I kind of alluded to this on the previous couple episodes, but really just let your kids kind of dictate the vacation, kind of go with the flow. Sometimes if you have events planned that you really want to go to, but your kids are just having fun in the kids club or want to do something else, I think kind of allowing them to kind of take the lead on, or at least kind of figure out what they want to do, is really going to make or break the vacation.
That's a good one. I think the biggest thing I would say is Disney Cruise is not a thing to over plan. So if you're used to going to Disney World and planning everything in advance, going from point A to point B and all the little stops in between, Disney Cruise is not one of those things. So definitely take the time to actually relax. It is a relaxing vacation, and some of those activities will happen multiple times throughout your trip. So don't feel the need to fit it all in one day. Take a look at the app. You'll see all the activities stretched out and, kind of fit things in where they fit and just enjoy every moment.
And if you miss something, it just means you got to go back, do it again. Yeah, I mean,
12 times
I
over.
think along those lines, yeah, the cruise vacation can be as busy or relaxing as you want it to be, and even within the day, it can have a swing. So yeah, I think it's really just kind of go with the flow and see how you're feeling. Well, I think that does it for this episode. Make sure you like, subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and wherever you find podcasts.
And if you want to learn more about Disney destinations, come join us in our Facebook group where we're chatting about all things planning Disney. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye.
See you real soon.